Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm JJ Flazanes, your empowerment strategist, producer, and winemaker. Thank you for downloading today's episode. Today, we're going to talk about what is your word for 2023. This episode features the Inner Circle Mastermind 2023, who were just here in my living room a couple days ago recording this podcast. And Maureen Kovinsky, one of my longtime clients and new mastermind member for 2023 and moving forward into 2024, had a great idea a few months ago to ask us each to give her a word. We didn't know what she was going to do with it, but she ended up making us these beautiful bracelets with our word on them. And we cover that at the end of the episode. But I wanted you to hear the backstory of how we got to these words so that you can reflect on your year. You can look at your year the same way we did in terms of what did you learn? What did you gain? What changed? What did you learn from other people? What are you doing next? We're coming to the end of the year, of course, and this is the time that we want to just take stock of where we've been. What are we doing? We're going to have a brand new year coming up here shortly, and what are we going to do with it? What are your intentions? What are your plans? How are you going to get there? What kind of support do you want and or need? And of course, as most of you know who listen to the show, currently I have two ways that you can get some support. The first one, of course, is Awaken Your Dream Life. I cannot wait to share what's going to happen at this event. I've recorded a new video. It's on the landing page, jjflazanes.com/dreamlife. Go check it out. But if you've heard what blocks your brilliance, or you heard the show, I think last week or the week before, with a few of the people who went to Awaken Your Dream Life and their tales of how their lives have changed since that event. It's going to be very powerful and it's very affordable. There are a couple payment plan options. It's happening in January and you're going to get an insane amount of support and touch time during January of 2024. jjflazanes.com/dreamlife to learn more and to sign up. And of course, not for all of you, not even for most of you, probably for a select few of you, the Inner Circle Mastermind does have a few spots left in it. A lot of people are moving on from this year to next year, but I have a few spots left and it may or may not be a fit. But if you have a burning desire to have this conversation, if this inspires you, if you feel connected and on purpose and are ready to have that conversation, there are some criteria. So we do need to jump on a call and see if it's a fit. But you can go to jj'sinnercirclemastermind.com. Again, that's jj'sinnercirclemastermind.com to learn about the opportunity and to fill out an application. And we'll jump on a Zoom call. And most of the time, it's going to be that you had to have accomplished or done some emotional work with me. However, there are exceptions to those rules. So if you feel like you might be one of them, let's see if it works. jj'sinnercirclemastermind.com. I'm going to let the ladies introduce themselves to you on the show as we move forward, but I just wanted to say, buckle up. I hope you enjoy this episode. I hope you're inspired, and I'm hoping you're inspired to do something moving forward that takes your 2024 where you want to go. Welcome to the show, everyone. Today, we're in my living room, and for those of you that have been in my living room or have heard podcasts out of my living room, you may hear some rustling of papers, you may hear some cats, you may hear water bottles, you may hear things on the table. I just wanted to set that up for you right now because I'm sitting here with the Inner Circle Mastermind 2023, and we are coming to the end of our year, and we are looking back and reflecting on what we've gained, what we're doing moving forward, and what we've learned from others. And, when in this community, I obviously love to share with you people's experiences and their growth, because whether you join a community like this or not, you're listening and you're potentially being inspired by. In fact, I know some people that I'm working with right now that have been inspired by the people in this group in order to move forward in coaching or in doing a deep dive into who they are. So without further ado, I think I just want to first start off with whoever, and I'm going to ask them to start with the question of, what have I gained this year? Who wants to start with the question, what have I gained this year, or what did I accomplish? And it could be any iteration of either one. Maureen, go ahead. Welcome to the show. And first, introduce yourself, of course, and continue.
Okay, this is my name's Maureen, and I've been in the mastermind this year, and I've done other things with JJ as well this year. I want to start from the beginning because in 2022 I wanted to join the mastermind, and the Sunday that I was going to hand in that letter was when my mom's giver didn't show up, and I got really upset, and I didn't turn it in because I realized I wasn't going to have enough time and energy to put forth in 2022. So when I got to 2022, to do the 2023 mastermind, this mastermind of this year, I think I turned it in like the next morning because I knew it was going to be there. So I'm like, I need to do this. I started with nothing. I had no idea what I wanted to do this year. We worked on that, and one of the things I gained is that I have a business, that I have an LLC that I just did. Thank you. And I have, let's see, I know what my zone of genius is, and what I have a plan that I have, and my business name is Here to Hear You, LLC. I've found time to do other things for myself and focus on myself this year. I just finished, and I got all my grades in as of yesterday, as life coaching certificate, so I know how to do that. And I'm learned to speak for myself, and speak up for myself. And last but not least, one of the things I didn't know I was going to gain from this is this tribe here. I didn't think that we would grow as close and as supportive. I've never had that environment before in my life. I grew up, I shouldn't say grew up, my professional life was in retail management. So when I started in retail management, it was all male dominated. So I never had the support of a lot of women. So this tribe has been great for me. That's one of the besides the business, the one thing that is so more important to me was the tribe that I have now.
Awesome. Don't pass it on yet, because your love language scores changed from a year ago. Yes, we did the love language as a part of a 3-month program that Maureen did, which is now the Rewire program, but so it's the first iteration. And taking the love language quiz is something I have everybody do, and she took it, and then in this current coaching program that she just finished, they also had her take it again, and we compared her scores, and it's moved. And I said, do you know what the difference is?
In this group.
And the fact that there are people that you want to spend quality time with now more than before. So I first just want to also say, can you please tell the name of your business again, and any, for the people that are out there, you now have a business called Here to Hear You.
Yes.
And it's designed to help whom?
It's designed to help people with hearing loss or family members of people with hearing loss, so that I can help them move from isolation and disconnection to confident, connected, and supported.
Beautiful. Awesome. Yay, Maureen. All right, more from Maureen in a minute. Who is next to share what you gained this year? Sonia.
Hi. My name is Sonia Lamb, and I am from Vermont. And I started with JJ in her Empowerment Strategist program, and then got so much momentum on healing my wounds and becoming a coach for JJ and learning what coaching could look like, that I decided to join the mastermind program and continue the momentum. Some of the women from the group were already joining the mastermind, so I kind of felt like I already had some tribe there, but then I knew I was going to meet some new people, which was also very exciting. What have I gained? I've launched a new business called Mariposa Collective, which is going to be focused a little bit more on my new adventures, which is kind of deep diving into more emotional healing, physical wellness, and generally just wanting to help people find a better way to take care of themselves mentally, physically, and obviously, if you didn't already know, I'm in the hair industry, so I've kind of started taking down some of my hair obligations and adding in some new stuff. So we're doing skincare, we're doing hair care, and I'm opening my meditation studio, starting my coaching business, and I'm working on, a lot more balance for myself so that I can help balance other people. And yeah, it's been a great experience.
Do you want to send anybody to an Instagram page or a website or?
Well, I don't have a website yet. I'm still working on that, but Mariposa Collective is on Instagram and it's slowly building. I haven't like launched in full, but yes.
Right. But when someone hears this and they want to follow your journey, I want to
Yes.
send them somewhere. So
Exactly.
great. Awesome. Well, yeah, I love it. Thank you. You've been kicking it. And not to mention everyone who's listening to this podcast, you've already heard her. We did Becoming a Manifesting Machine with the episode. It was with Sonia. So
Yes, I've learned a lot about law of attraction and how to implement that in my life, and that has been a game changer.
in every area.
In every area.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Sonia. All right. Who is next?
Me.
Helen.
Hi, I'm Helen Raptopoulos. I'm a lifestyle designer, and I am an advocate for people to make themselves more of a priority and self-care. I am new to the group with JJ, brand new, and it has been an incredible year. I have gained so much. I probably have 3 or 4 pages that I could read from, just so much. But I was definitely tearing up a little bit when Maureen was talking about the tribe, because we have really gotten close as a group, and I can't say enough about just the new friends, the networking, the perspective, the empathy, the compassion, like all the things you didn't know you need. I'm getting goosebumps. The accountability. It's been such a beautiful group of people, and I feel like a completely brand new and an excited person for what's coming up in my life. Okay, so gains, so many gains. My business has transformed in many multiple ways. I have at least 2 full funnels that are complete. One for a webinar, a couple for a product, and a funnel is just like all of these pieces. It's so complex and so crazy. And I've really enjoyed being able to say that I'm done with that, because it is such a big deal. I wrote down like all the things that are part of it, like the opt-in pages and thank you pages and the email sequence and the follow-up plan and the tech knowledge and the recording and the scheduling and the uploading and the sharing. And there is so much, and that's just a little bit. So I've really, really gained that just knowing that that's done. I've also learned some new habits and some activities that I'm really finding to have made a big difference in my life, being as there is so much content, because JJ way over delivers. I have implemented since probably the end of Q1, before it dawned on me that I need more time to really soak up all of the things, the podcasts, the lessons, the learning library. So I initiated 2 nights a week that are no TV is allowed, and I just focus on studying, reading, implementing, assimilating all the things, and that's really made a huge difference. So that's a big gain. Again, there's just so many things, so I could keep going forever, but I want to share the mic. But it's just been just so many things, so many gains.
How about like one more big one?
I feel like there was something that was queued up for, like, a webinar.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, so I did a webinar, and it was my first one on a new topic. So that's always a little bit scary when you're going out with a new topic, looking for a new crowd, talking to new people. So that was a big deal.
And new
overcoming
technology.
that. All the technology that came with that, I shudder to think of how much there was involved. So just overcoming that is great. And just so y'all know, whenever you learn new technology, don't get too excited that you've mastered it, because wait a week and it will be all new platforms anyway. So it's just one of those things that I'm very proud to say that I got through that and had the webinar behind me. I got to do Investa's Summit, which was also incredible. And just being able to share and talk and get more comfortable. I think all of us, particularly as women, maybe shudder a little bit to like say, hey, look at me, this is what I do. And so we're getting better at that. And I love that, getting more confident with that.
Just share about your business and where.
Yeah, my company is Aim for Ideal, and webinars with Helen.com is going to be an ongoing monthly masterclass. So that's going to kind of change topics from month to month, and that will be around making yourself a priority and self-care and all things health and well-being that have to do with physical, mental, like all the pieces, spiritual, everything.
Awesome. Thanks, Helen.
Yeah, thanks.
Yay. Okay, who is next?
I'll go.
No stranger to the podcast.
No stranger to the podcast. My name is Vesta. What did I gain this year? I did the Power of Choosing You Summit on July 19th. It was the things I learned from that it's okay to ask for help. I'm still not great at that. I am a work in progress for that, but I had to. I would not have been able to do it without people. Like there's everyone in this room, plus technical things, JJ, more JJ. But I asked for help as much as I could. With some frustrations there because sometimes I feel like I should be able to do everything all by myself and I don't need help. But I did that, which it was very, very hard. I gained self-confidence from it. That's also a work in progress, but it's way better than it was before. And all the people who watched or supported or got it after, I feel like that really shows me that I am enough and I do have things to say and that people do want to hear what I have to say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What else is coming up for you?
I'm starting a podcast. Since all of you guys want to hear what I have to say, I'm starting a podcast. It's called Open Heart Healing Podcast. Soon. I can't give you a date, but
Which is fine.
I have That's a war within myself there. I have a lot to say on it, and I think it'll be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to say, everyone has accomplished a lot of great things, and not one thing is necessarily bigger than the other. What I'll say is that what you did without any prior knowledge or information about a summit, because there are so many moving parts to a summit that I know you watched the videos and you said, this is what I want to do. I want to do a summit. I want to do a podcast. I want to do a webinar. And I was like, okay, let's do that. And it took 6 months to get it. Well, I wanted you to take longer because of all the newness. And that's what people, when I think people, we get challenged in life to learn new things. And I think, it's a good question to reflect on, even for yourself, those of you that are listening and still everybody in this room, is how resilient am I? How flexible am I? How forgiving am I? How patient am I with learning? Because I don't think there's ever going to be a time while you're on this planet that you won't be presented with lessons. And they may be with your children, with your parents, with aging, with your health, with your business. And it's the same mindset that gets applied and the same point of view that gets applied to learning in any area. But when you get into technical things, some people's brain gets fried and they go, oh, I'm done. It's a big undertaking to do a webinar. Because not only you had no relationships, you had no list. You had to get a list. You had to, deal with the organization and the content and then the marketing and then the building of all the things on the front end, all things on the back end. It's no small feat. And then there's the day of. Then there's the day of, right? Which we all saw you transform in front of our eyes. And I know you even continue as you go back to watch it to create some new free goodies for you guys that are listening. You get to kind of relive what you felt like and have that reflection. And I think, we don't often, unless you're in a group like this or you have accountability, you're doing something else like this, we often don't really celebrate our milestones or what most people go to bed with, what didn't I do today? Or most of us have the conversation of, oh, look back, what didn't I accomplish? Oh yeah, I got to put that on my to-do list. And it's usually around the negative, but it's something I've been practicing. I've been in masterminds for years, and that's one of the things I loved was it's sort of like the goals at the beginning of the year and then the reflection, whether the goals happened or not, other things happened. And it was like, oh, I'm going to try to find every accomplishment. In fact, Doug and I still do this today. We do a VIP day with each other, and we're going to do another one in January where literally I'll take my paper calendar. I will sit and literally go through every accomplishment. I'll look through every page in that calendar and remember everything that happened all year long. Now, some people are better at doing it throughout the year. So for those of you that your memory's not so great or you're juggling too many things, maybe it's a quarterly thing that you do. But I can go back a year and think of and look at my calendar and where I was and what I was working on and list all the accomplishments. And the list is surprisingly very long every year because we don't really take into consideration some of the little things that create big things, some of the little steps, decisions that we make. And so I love that process. And then, then we do some forecasting and look forward and see what we want to be creating. But, this show today, this episode, this conversation allows us to look back and see all of the things that were accomplished in whatever way, whether it be an awareness or executing something or a decision or a letting go of something. Those are all valid because they help us get to wherever we're going next. So, but again, how resilient are you, everybody? Here in the room and listening? How flexible are you? How forgiving are you? And how patient are you with yourselves in learning things? What is your self-talk like? Because if you beat yourself up for not knowing something that you think inherently you should know that you've never seen before or ever done, or this is not an environment. Shaming ourselves, beating ourselves up is never an environment to grow. Doesn't mean you can't be honest about your habits and patterns. Doesn't mean you can't say, hey, I've realized this about myself. But that's different than making it mean something. It just says, here's my habit and pattern. Here's what's going on with me. And here's how I'm going to fix it. It's not saying because I did this, I'm a bad person. I'm a stupid person. I'm not worthy, right? We're not shaming ourselves. We're not making it mean something. But I think most people, and maybe you guys can speak to this when you get the mic back, I think a lot of people just don't get started because they get themselves all so worked up in the beginning that they don't even bother starting because it's going to be hard. I don't know how to do any of that stuff. So I'm just not going to do it anyway. And I don't know, maybe we can speak to that as why, if that came up for any of you at any point before or now, how you helped yourself to get out of there. Well, let's just talk, Vesta, while you have the mic. What was your self-talk to get you not to quit?
So for me, sometimes to not quit, I have to think of the end, what I want, the end goal, because I have been trying to do different things my whole life, my whole adult life, because I don't necessarily love my day job. I don't hate it either, but I would like to move on eventually. And so sometimes I have to remind myself what the end goal is because I have learned about myself in the last couple of years that when it gets hard, I like to quit and give myself really, really good excuses why I quit. And the good excuses came easily. But then I always end up in the same miserable place. So actually the day before the summit, these guys all know I didn't almost quit, but I did say it. It just makes me want to quit. And I knew I wouldn't because I did way too much work to quit the day before, but it's a process for sure. To not quit sometimes because when things get hard, because I know I want more out of life. And the problem is when you say, I know I want more out of life, I probably should say I deserve more out of life. I deserve to get what I want. And I think I've never said those words out loud until right now. But I feel it now. Maybe I said it before, but I feel it now. So
That's awesome. I love that. Before we go into new stuff, I'm going to pass this back to Sonia and then Helen, just to recap, when you thought you might quit or things were too overwhelming, what did you tell yourself in order to keep going?
Well, I just knew how much better I was going to feel when I had it done, and so for me, it was making small lists and checking the small things off and to make it feel less overwhelming. But I was so focused on my goal of creating this new life for myself and wanting this new business and having this group, I think helped me keep that accountability. But I think that whenever I felt like it was too much, I kept thinking about how excited I was about my future and what was in store for me. And that really was motivating for me. And, and like Vesta, I've done so much work to get to this point that I could have just said, this is too hard. This is too much money. This is too much time. I'm tired. I'm exhausted, but I didn't. And I just, I'm still evolving. The business is not completely done. It's not exactly where I want it to be, but I didn't have a timeline that it had to be done every step. So it's just taking those small steps and then they just kind of accumulate to bigger ones, like you were saying.
Helen?
It was definitely a mantra that I repeat regularly, that it's more important to have progress than perfection. And that was a really big deal for me because I would sit and wait until I get it right. I have to know this first. I have to learn this first. I have to get this right first and then do it. And I know this is so, so true. And you've probably heard it and read it and all the things, but you can't improve something that doesn't already exist. So you have to do it imperfectly first and then build on that. And then you can go back and make it better. But if you keep waiting to make it better in your head, it will never be born. Your idea has to be born and let it be born messy and then make it better. That was actually one of the best things I've gained this year that I didn't mention because that stops us from doing all the things that we know we can do. And another part of like when Vesta was talking about the summit, and yes, I wanted to quit also, is having that future vision about something that you really want that's pulling you forward, and focusing on where you're going to end, which Sonia kind of said. You're focusing on where you're going to go, not what you have to do to get there. Because if you focus on what you have to do to get there, you'll probably quit before you get going.
There's a saying, and then Maureen, I want you to weigh in on if there was any point in time that you wanted to quit and what maybe you told yourself. But, and this isn't my quote. I don't even know if it's the person's quote who I heard it from, but I've said it to you guys. And so I'm not even going to try to say who it's from because it may be incorrect. But, and I probably even said it on a podcast, but you're either pushed by pain or pulled by purpose. So, and that could be said in so many different ways, like momentum, like what momentum is feeding what you're doing. Sometimes there are people who are very successful, but what feeds them is anxiety. So let me say it again, just so that you can really have this sink in. You're either pushed by pain or pulled by purpose. And too often people are just pushed by pain, but that's not on your terms. And I love that you all kind of talked about the future in terms of you knew where you were going. And, guys, this is very much law of attraction. Or am I thinking of what I want or what I don't want? It can be that simple. And yeah, and Helen's done a ton of webinars, and she's been in business for a long time, but you freaked out and wanted to quit doing a brand new webinar and a new topic on a new platform where no one's immune to fear. And I've said this a million times. Fear is not an endpoint. You feel the fear and you fucking do it anyway. And you get people to kick your ass until you do it, unless you don't want to. And again, if I'm talking to you and you're like, I have no desire to do anything different, awesome. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to all of you out there who say you want something and you say you want something and you say you want something and you're doing nothing about it. Sorry, I was going to drop another F-bomb. But and you're doing nothing about it. And I'm not shaming you. I'm trying to light the fire to say, are you going to wait until you're in pain to be pushed? Or do you have a bigger purpose? Do you have a bigger why? Maureen, do you have any mental things?
I wanted to quit right at the beginning when you had we were trying to figure out where I wanted to start, and you suggested to me that I write my hearing loss story from even with my mother's hearing loss and up, and I'm like, no, I am not a writer. There is no way I am going to write my story because I am not a good writer. I am not. And then the next morning I got up and was almost late to work. I work from home. Because I started writing like the next morning, and I got into a little bit of a flow, and I'm like, I looked down at my watch, I'm like, oh shit. I need to have my computer on, and I need to do my full-time job. So so right at the beginning, and then I did it, and then everything else, I mean, we just started from there.
Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that story, that you wanted to quit right in the beginning. Oh shit, this is too hard already. I'm out of here. But I love that you did it anyway. And now we're talking about Maureen writing a book next year. So stay tuned, because Maureen's going to be putting out a book about her story and hearing loss.
Right. Yes. Which is like, not what I had anticipated when I started that. That's what I would be doing. So
yeah, well, surprise. No, I'm kidding. Awesome. Good job. Krista.
Well, I just want to say real quick, I love that you reverse censored yourself. You said shoot and then corrected yourself to shit. I love it.
Yeah, it's usually the other way around.
So actually, one big thing I learned this year is that I do need to get my ass kicked. But I learned a lot about how I sabotage and the best laid plans, and then how I work against myself. And I got so much from this group, as far as this was a big mirror year for me, and the reflection that I got back on where I don't show up for myself, and why and where that came from, and the work that I've done and what still needs to be done. But also like reconfirming in myself, reaffirming myself, rebelieving in myself, and really just being able to look at it and know what I still want, because I can get myself knocked out of my direction and knocked out of my orbit, or however you want to put it, so many ways. Out of alignment, yes, of course. Knocked out of alignment in so many different ways. And then it really is good to forgive myself first off, because you can sit there just beating yourself up about it, or you can choose to see the mirror, and you can choose to decide to realign and move forward. So it's so valuable. I learned so much from JJ, obviously, but from these other ladies as well. All of the ideas, just being able to bounce off what I'm feeling and the negative, like getting negative with myself, and then the reframes, like being able to reframe and say it's never too late. Like, it's never too late, and I can just keep going. Like I've said before, some people are rockets and some of us are turtles, and that's okay. Both are fine.
My mother actually bought my dad a turtle. It says "Slow is beautiful." They're rocks that got painted together, and yeah. Oh, my father moves like molasses. It's very slow, but slow is beautiful, because we need the people who ground us, who are not moving a million miles an hour like some people are, and there's a balance. So it brings balance to the world. So this is good.
Thank you. And I also wanted to just say real quick, I recognize that I do start to beat myself up, but I also am learning to be more patient with myself. Like today, like on the hike that we went on, for example, in the past, like in more fit times in my life, that would have been no problem. But I haven't been exercising as much. But being able to give myself permission to just hang back and enjoy the hike anyways, and not beat myself up and say, I'm not going as fast as everybody else, and just say, no, I'm good. I'm going to still enjoy the hike, and I'm going to still go up at my own pace and stop when I need to and keep going, was actually a perfect metaphor for how I'm going to be on my journey. And sometimes I'll go faster and sometimes I'll go slower, and it's all okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Awesome, Krista.
Good
That's
metaphor.
great. All right, Ellie.
Okay, so I think I originally joined JJ's group having listened to, I think, was it 2 years worth of podcasts, and eventually decided that I absolutely had to join one of her groups. I think I actually persuaded you, didn't I? I had to tell you that I was doing this course,
Yeah, you
year
came
with
in.
you.
You slid in right like January.
That was it.
Yeah.
And I knew I'd missed the end of the year, and I was like, oh, I really want to do this. I really wanted the accountability. Because I'm really good at thinking of ideas, and then I get really excited, and then I do so much planning, I talk myself out of it and never get anything done, so I never get to live any of my dreams. So I basically joined your group so that I would have that accountability, and having listened to that many podcasts that had served to inspire me, I wanted to be a part of what you were doing in the world. What I didn't realize was that by joining the group, not only was I getting the accountability from you, I was getting it from everybody else as well. And I think, there's been so much this year that it is actually really hard to pinpoint like the one thing. There are so many things, but I no longer feel like a square peg and trying to bash into a round hole, trying to fit into somebody else's agenda. I finally feel that I'm surrounded by lots of round pegs and round holes, and it's great. But each of them are individually unique, and it has been a fantastic year with being the recipients of all of your very, very unique wisdom. Everyone in this group is actually so blooming different. Like, there's just, we're all so different, and yet work so amazingly together. So that has been just wonderful for me, just gaining that unique wisdom. Like, I could say something individually for everyone, but it's something that's actually stuck on my computer at home from Helen, which was the I can't remember the quote exactly because I'm not looking at my computer right now, but it's been there for nearly a year, right under my nose, which was, when you think you're not that far ahead, look back and think how far you've come. And that has been, and oh gosh, how far I have actually come this year. I finally feel like I have the freedom to be myself, and I have learnt in this year, and the year's not even up yet, so it's quite exciting to think what else I might learn in the next 2 months, 2 and a bit months, 2 months, less than 2 months. So we've got a couple of months left to go, but in the 10 so far, I have basically just learnt that I'm enough, and I can't tell you the freedom that comes with that. So for me, it's been a massive life change, massive. And all because I wanted to start a podcast and write a book, and I have essentially written a book. I have started recording for a podcast. I've learned so many computer programs, and I'm the one that absolutely loathed technology and found it was a big sticking point, and suddenly it's just not that hard, because when you've got support, nothing's really that hard. So I guess that was what I really gained.
Yeah. Well, I kind of want to stick the next two questions together, and you can do it in whatever feels better for you. What's next? Okay, yes, definitely you can talk about that. But I'd love to hear what you learned the most from other people. Because I remember someone saying, and maybe it was Krista, but it was just looking at being inspired by other people's growth and other people's actions, and people in the community who aren't even in this group who've been inspired by you guys, who's been showcased on the podcast, or had the summit, or had a webinar, or did a podcast, or people that have just been inspired that you don't even know that you've touched because you don't know them and they haven't said anything to you. But I'd love for you to now share with each other what you learned from each other, or what was the biggest lesson that you got that came through a different way that you didn't anticipate.
I learned so much. I have it written down here. So I didn't write this really specifically for each individual person, but I've realized, and what I've learned from others is that I'm not alone with the struggles and self-doubt. I've learned perseverance, time management skills, and I've learned what it takes to get a product for all to see, and that also I can do hard things.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Good one, Maureen. Who would like to go next?
Celebrating. This is Helen. She took my answer.
That you can do hard things.
I mean, literally, I wrote down one thing. We're not alone, which is a really big deal, because sometimes we don't know that we're not alone when we feel like self-doubt, or like I'm not good enough, or who am I to do this, or like all of the negative things that are maybe sabotaging or holding us back. You think something's wrong with me. I'm the only one that feels this way. I'm the only one who struggles. I'm the only one having a hard time. So hearing everybody's perspective and their growth and their journey and what they're going through is very comforting, because there is that sense of we're in this together, and I'm not an oddball or a weirdo. We all go through this, and we prevail, and we go forward. And then definitely we can do hard things. That's such a big deal. Such a big deal. I live and die by that right now.
One of the things that I think is important about a mastermind in having one is that for people that are business owners, or you're starting a venture, or you're starting something, you don't have like the water cooler employee conversation where you feel a part of a team that works underneath somebody else. So you have to find your team, because it's a very lonely road sometimes to not have somebody to bounce ideas off of, to not have someone who understands what it's like to be doing your own thing, or to be learning new technology, or to, sort of like what ends up happening most of the time in masterminds is people become kind of like the unofficial board of directors. Like, you get to run things by people. And if you're having, you have a business, or you're starting a business, or you're starting down the path of thinking about living in your zone of genius more, like I have a few people in mind right now who they want to retire. They don't really want to retire. They don't know what they're going to do with their lives. And I'm like, well, you can join the mastermind and we can figure that out. But they want to just jump from doing a job they don't like, doing another job that they don't know if they're going to like. I'm like, just take the time. They can, afford it. Just take the time to figure out what lights you up and what you want to be doing in the world. Because, just going from one unhappy situation into another one that just keeps you busy is avoiding the deeper calling that you probably have, which is why you're unhappy in the first place. So I think that what something like this can bring to the table is, again, that sort of unofficial board of directors that's always in your corner, even though they may not work in your business, they may not do what you do, but they're always there when you need something. And because the higher up you go in a company, the less people there are to talk to, because they're not juggling the same responsibilities. They're not in charge of creative. They're not in charge of marketing. And as a business owner or someone starting a business, you're in charge of all of it. And that's a lot of hats to wear. So having an outlet of support is really important.
I think that was something that I suppose it was one of the things I got out of being part of this tribe, and what I gained this year was actually when you're doing something by yourself, which is one of the reasons I think I have often failed at the follow through for doing something that I've dreamt of doing, it's because of lack of support. So if you haven't got a partner who supports what you're doing, if you haven't got friends that you can just ring and say, yeah, go me, or go you, that's fantastic. And you basically got to support yourself. So you've got to be your own cheerleader, your own everything, and that can get exhausting when you're not really sure how to do something or where you're going, or, to be honest, if it's going to work anyway. And what if you waste all the time and then, oh my gosh, everyone's going to look at you and go, oh, well, So it's so nice to have people who celebrate the wins. Like when I learned how to use a program, when I first started learning how to edit, and I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, I've just learned how to cut that. And to have people that actually were, oh my gosh, that's so awesome, because you kind of were on board with it and with my journey. Whereas had I attempted the same conversation with even my good friends outside of this group, they wouldn't really go, oh, that's nice. So the support that you get from having people on their own journeys in a similar
goals,
with
right. And it's a difference of like when you have a partner, and I have a very supportive partner, but there's a difference because and not that he's attached to anything. In my last relationship, there was definitely your partners have a buy-in to what you're doing. They're either afraid of what you're doing, they're threatened by what you're doing, they're excited about but they're too involved to just be sort of the unconditional support and love. They have opinions, they think it affects them, and so they can muddy your waters. And when you have people that are unconditionally loving and supporting, because it doesn't really what you do, that's fine. I'm just here to support you, whatever that means. And it doesn't matter what I think about it necessarily. I mean, maybe as your coach, it might matter a little bit, but you know what I mean? It's not, and when you deal with families, when I said I was starting a business, when I said I was going to go to school for acting, oh, why don't you do something else first? Have that, and then you can do that second. Have a fallback, right? My desires and goals now become someone else's concern because of how they think it's going to affect them. So now I've been lost in the conversation. What I want doesn't matter because you're too concerned about how it's going to affect you. When you're in a group like this, we're here to support whatever the hell you want. And you're not getting involved because it doesn't really matter because it won't affect us. Yeah. And that's sort of the benefit of the detached awareness thing.
Well, right what I wrote down was recognizing my desire for wanting deeper connections in a business setting. I mean, that's exactly what I was looking for, and that's exactly what I got. I think that because it's so interesting to sit here with women who are starting a business, have a business, or never had their own business before, and then you're learning what it takes to get going, what they're doing. And I learned so much just watching what it took to start their business and what their interest is. And then when people would come in and give these great advice about how they would go about it, I was like, oh, I never thought about that. That's a great idea. And there's so many of those ahas and wow, look at that. And then I loved the moments where we were celebrating our achievements, but then the moments were yeah, I just deleted that entire thing. It was bloody awful. And I'm like, my whole heart sinks for that person. You're like, oh, yeah, okay, well, we'll be there for you. We got you. But then it's kind of at the same time, it's I kind of wanted to have a tribe, working alone for a long time. I have clients. I'm a people person. I love people, but I wanted a tribe, a business tribe. And so I think that's what I got. And, at the same time, I love this about JJ is when I do start to upper limit, she calls you out on it really quick. And so then you don't really have too much time to shimmy around, and she puts you back on your path. And then you have this tribe that's sitting there cheering you back on again. You're like, okay, yep, here we go. Next task.
Well, I was just going to say, the tribe has been actually the most valuable part of all of this from the get-go of the empowerment strategist. Of course, all of the content, everything that you learn, all of the growth and change you do, but the tribe, the connections, the deep connections that you make through all of this. And so what you learn, what I feel like, is anytime anybody posts a question or is going through something or comes to the Marco group with something awful that happened to them or something great that happened to them. And sometimes everybody comments and sometimes only a few, but we all learn from that. There's little nuggets that affect every single one of us and everything that's said on there. So even if it's not directed at us, it's still, it's the mirroring. It's like all of the nuggets have something to do with everybody in some way, shape, or form. So you're always learning from everything that's said along the way. So I feel like I learned something from every single one of you, and you guys gave me so much value and so much support through anything I was going through, or the encouragement. Like you said, I did a speech at the Women's Network in our hometown. And it was very hard for me to do, but the support and the encouragement and the suggestions and then when it was over and I'm coming back, like, I did it, like you said, it's that celebration. And it's not that other people in my life weren't proud of me, but it's the connection that you get, and it's everybody working through it the whole time that builds that support and excitement. They truly know what you went through to get to that moment. And so they're able to celebrate extra hard with you because they get what that was for you. They get the obstacle that it took to go through it. So,
let's see. I think that one thing is I feel like this is it's a built-in cheerleaders. I felt like I had built-in cheerleaders. Every single time I was like, I want to do this. It's never like, no. It's never like, I don't know if that's a good idea. There's accountability in the sense that maybe if it wasn't a great idea, somebody might say, do you really love that idea or whatever? But I think when everything is all said and done, I feel like what I have learned from everyone is we all hold space for each other. We don't complain about the space that we are holding for each other. We want to hold space for each other. And then so when you hold space for people, I feel like there's kindness, there's love, there's friendship, all that being built together for each other, with each other. And so how can you not build this tribe on on that support system that you have built from all that? Because that starts from day one, the love, the I got your back, the you can do it, all that love. And I feel like the world needs more love. So I found mine here and other places, but it's a good place to start.
I love you guys. I want to end this episode with the great idea that Maureen had, which was to pick a word for the year. And I would love everyone to share their word and why they chose that word. So Maureen, why don't you start off the segment here with what your word is? And most of us are wearing our words on these wonderful little bracelets that you made us. Beautiful purple.
I chose growth for me because as I said at the beginning, that when I started with this mastermind this year, I had no clue as to what I was going to do or where my direction was. So I started out with nothing, and here I am with a business starting. And as I said, I was going to write my story next year, my book. So there was a lot of things that went on along that way and that journey, but I've grown so much, and I've learned to trust in this group, and feel the support of everybody else. So
Yes, you definitely have grown, and many people in the community know you because if they've been to a live event, and I'm sure they would also agree and be very impressed with your growth this year. So congratulations. You're welcome. All right, who's next for their word?
I'll go since I have a mic. My word is transcendent. I've always been kind of comfortable with not hard, right? You just get comfortable. And so transcendent, I had to look it up, of course, but it means going beyond the usual. And I feel like we all, no matter how much we did, no matter what journey we're on, like my usual, we all went above and beyond our own usual. So my word is transcendent.
I went with awareness. And for me, that was a lot of awareness, like I was talking about earlier, of where I do and don't show up for myself, and awareness of not beating myself up, like trying to do everything at once and then not doing anything, and being able to be okay with moving slowly, being able to be okay with where I am, but being okay with where I am, but not stopping that from moving forward. And so just the awareness of me and my wounds and my self-sabotage, and also my self-love, like, because I do love myself a lot and I have grown a lot, like the awareness of my growth throughout this journey, not just this year, but over the last few years, and who I am, and where I want to be.
I really loved this idea, and thank you again, Maureen, for the bracelets. My word that I picked for this year that would sum it up is resilient. I feel like I've gone just through so much and been tested left and right, emotionally. Just so many things are happening in my life, and it's really been a challenge. And so resilient to me means you can knock me down, but I'm going to get back up.
Okay. I chose the word expansion, and it has so many things to it, like layers, I guess. I'll say layers of it. Expanding my mind to doing new things, expanding my learning, finding more purpose. Again, back to the book, Not Upper Limiting. You know, I feel like when you take the big leap into your next self and your zone of genius. And I just feel like for me, I've expanded my mind. I've expanded so many things in my life. And I've just gained so much from expanding and expansion. And I'm just think it was the perfect word for this year.
And my word was freedom. And I think, like Sonia said, there was lots of layers to that one word. I definitely set myself free this year to become who I wanted to be, or who I've always hoped to be. And I was offered the freedom to explore who and what that might be within this group, within this year. And I freed myself from so many upper limits. Last but not least, definitely that perfectionism, and that not enoughness, and all of them, a lot of upper limits that I definitely had. Just freedom to explore what life can actually hold if I allow it in, rather than keep pushing it away, trying to stay safe. And that has become my new mantra. That was the what if. So rather than closing myself down with, no, that it might go wrong, it's what if it did work out? And that has opened just so many avenues for me, and released me from, I guess, what used to be a bit of a prison. So yeah, freedom.
Nice.
Thank you.
Well, I had a hard time picking a word, and I asked for some help. And Sonia picked some words, and I chose one of the two words that she put together. They were in the same kind of sentence, but Maureen just wanted a word, and the word is luminary. And it's funny because when we were doing the opening circle this morning and yesterday, and you pointed out luminary in the recording, I hadn't even heard that before, and now it like sticks out like a sore thumb. Like every time I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize. And I had listened to it at least 3 times before you guys got here, not to mention I was live in person doing it too. So I chose, and I liked luminary as sort of the guiding light, as the what I've learned, which next week you guys will hear. As of the recording of this podcast, this will be out before the one I'm going to talk about my sacred shamanic journey. You will hear what I learned in that journey, and how that also feeds the deep awareness and understanding of my own vibrational nature and its power. And anyway, more about that next week when you listen to that podcast. But I liked luminary because, if nothing else, it's at least if I just keep shining a light, those that are ready will appear. And it's not about convincing. It's not about, so for some of you that are out there, you're probably, it's late in the game, and I haven't really said too much about the mastermind because I made a decision, the first bold move of 2023, that was the January podcast, that I really just want this sort of fluidity between business and emotional, because it's all I talk about. It's all there is. And to me, it's the embodiment of the learning. It's not I'm going to do emotional work over here and I'm going to do business work over here. I don't think we have that luxury as women to compartmentalize like that, because it's not in our nature to not shine our light. And if we start putting on the hat of work that's not attached to me, the disconnection can lead to disconnection from your soul, from your spirit, from your purpose. And I think as women, as nurturers, as gatherers, as givers, as luminous beings, to be in alignment with that zone of genius, to be clear about that purpose, to be clear about our time on the planet and what we're here to want to do, not need to do, want to do, what are we pulled to contribute? What are we pulled to talk about and to offer to other people? And so for me, the word luminous sort of encapsulated all of that. And it kind of also gave me permission to just be and just say, you know what, it's whoever's out there. And so if you're listening to this right now and you have a business and you're new to me and you haven't done anything else, there may be spots open. There are probably a few spots open for next year, but I do have some criteria, and that criteria is that you do the emotional work. I have to say that this first retreat that we did in Mexico was the first time I felt free to bounce wherever I needed to go, and everyone was open and willing to receive that information, regardless of how much you had done with me prior to that. And it's important for me to become as my best self for you, to have that conversation, because sometimes the answer isn't learn this technology. Sometimes the answer isn't, oh, but what if this is a better funnel for me? Most of the time, the answer is, what am I afraid of? Most of the time, the answer is, am I good enough? And if you don't handle that, then your business is just going to cover up all the wounds instead of help you explore healing them. And so obviously, most of you who listen to the show understand that I'm in the business of healing your wounds, which means that you take the learning into action and you embody the lessons by changing how you think, how you act, what you believe, how you see the world, how you interpret things. And that's sort of where the rubber meets the road, in that this work can stick and it can change your life, because it's not just about theory. It's not theory. It's not detached. So my word was luminary. And so with that, I would love you all out there to think about what your word is for this year. What word encapsulated you and your journey and your lessons and your experience and your desires and your challenges and your contrast and then of course to ask yourself the question, where am I going next year? One of my very favorite quotes, again, it came from Mary Morrissey, but it may not have come from her originally, but there's a quote that says, some people live 99 years and some people live 1 year 99 times. Let that sink in. And if you're on the 50th year of your 52 years and you've been living the same year 52 times, is now the right time? Is now the right time? So if nothing else, ponder that and reach out if you're ready for something different, if you're ready for some growth, you're ready for some change, you're ready to invest in yourself, invest in your future, and own your power in a new way. Take that for everyone here and everyone out there, that your 2024 is a new version of a more aligned, powerful, grounded, purposeful, trusting, flexible you. Thanks, everyone.
Hi, my name is Vesta. I've been with JJ for 2 years. I did the Empowerment Strategist course last year, and this year I'm doing the Inner Circle Mastermind. I'm also going to do it next year. I want to talk about how amazing this community is. When things happen, you have the unconditional love. You have, there's so much power in these groups that it's a judgment-free zone. I feel very safe with JJ. I feel she leads in a way that makes you feel loved. It makes you feel heard. It makes you feel important. She gives so much, and you feel it. You feel it with her. You feel it from the group. I've been in 2 separate groups, and both groups you feel it 100% of the time. She also will kick your ass if you need your ass kicked into gear. I love her, and hopefully you join this mastermind too. It's worth it.
Hi, I'm Ellie, and I have had the most wonderful year with JJ's tribe. It has been so much more than I had ever hoped it would be, more than I imagined it would be. The transformation, not only in my business life, my creativity, and my personal life, has been out of this world. I cannot endorse enough the power of being part of a tribe and the support that you get from that group, and just the amount of change. I can't endorse enough the sheer magic of being a part of a supportive tribe. It really does make all the difference, and if you have the opportunity to do it yourself, I'd say take it.
Hi, I'm Sonia Lamb, and I'm here to give you some advice. And my advice would be to join JJ's Mastermind program. Not only did I find investing in myself gave me more power to choose a different life, to live in my best self, to change the way I view things. I've grown so much, not only as a person, but my business. I'm working less, making more money. I have traveled more, and I'm growing and growing and growing, and I'm still learning. And there's so many things about being in a group with a bunch of women, like-minded women, who are deeply rooted in spirituality, consciousness, and everyone's sitting there wanting to cheer you on and help you. But at the same time, JJ has a bucket of tools to help you. She's going to encourage you. She's going to give you everything you need to get to the next level. And that could be small steps. It could be big steps. For me, it was big steps this year. But I've been with JJ for a few years. It took me a few years to build up to that. And let her give you the momentum to build your business, to start living in your zone of genius, to create the life you want.
Hey everyone, a lot of you probably already know me. I'm Krista. For those of you who don't, I have worked with JJ now since 2018 when I found her podcast, and I've been in her empowerment strategist certification and now in her business mastermind. I cannot stress the amount of connection that you will get from JJ's community and the amount of support that you get from the group and from her programs. And I am here to tell you that even when you are second guessing yourself, even when you're sabotaging yourself, that JJ will get you back on track. The group will get you back on track. There's nothing like being a part of this tribe and being a part of this community and growing yourself, growing your business, and becoming more of yourself.
All right, well, my name's Maureen, and I have been in JJ's Mastermind this year. Decided to do this last year. I had no idea what I was going to do. I didn't know what my zone of genius was. The very first thing JJ had me do was write my hearing loss story. We decided that, I decided that being an auditory mentor was the best thing for me to do, and that's things that I know. This whole year has been great. If you're thinking about growing yourself personally, spiritually, business-wise, this is JJ's the person to do it with. We have had this great camaraderie with all the people in the mastermind this year. We've great friends, and we've supported each other and helped each other grow in the ways that we want to be grown.
Hi, I'm Helen Raptopoulos, and I wanted to give a testimonial for JJ Flazanes. I've been in her mastermind this 2023 year, and it has been so incredible. We did an interview with her on her podcast yesterday, so I was reminded of all the things that I've gained. I really, really mostly appreciated having a community of like-minded women who were cheering me on, and I could cheer them on, and we could all go through our ups and downs together and struggle together and learn and grow and be challenged, which was so hard and so scary, but it really was the best part, because without that challenge and without that growth, I feel like I would not have elevated to where I am in this moment from where I started in January. And all of that is because of the accountability, because of JJ's coaching and her heart and her compassion. But the tribe together has just been so incredible because of all that accountability. So I highly recommend working with JJ, with being in a mastermind, because it's not enough just to have the one-on-one coaching. I really think it's a great thing when you have a community of like-minded people and you're all striving for the same thing, so you can share best practices, ideas, encouragement, learn from each other, maybe not stumble because somebody else did, and you can learn from them and then maybe protect yourself from doing something similar. So I highly recommend it. I'm Helen Raptopoulos, and my business is aimforideal.com.